Excellent. We are live here with industry leader, and I'm excited to have a favorite East Bay marketer on who's really helped a lot of people with their marketing in the East Bay, Lisa Cain. And, we'll go into some of the different things that she does. I actually rather let her tell us that. I'm going to let her also describe her bio. So, with that, Lisa, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Well, thanks for coming on to um, be an early episode on Industry Leader and kind of really show us what what kind of goes into leading your industry, so to speak. And you've always been somebody that I've really looked up to in the marketing space, and you actually have a PhD and do a lot of classes. So I really admire all the practical stuff that you do. But with that, could you just, for those who may not know you, could you just tell us just a bit about yourself and what you do
Sure.
professionally?
Sure. Thank you. So I'm Lisa Cain. I'm a marketing consultant, mostly working with small local businesses, mostly in the East Bay, but I actually have clients all over the place too, especially in Zoom times. But even before that, I had clients who were further afield. And as you said, I have a PhD. I have a PhD in marketing from the Wharton School, and really love to help small business owners be resilient when times are tough and take advantage of what I'm seeing is maybe like the next boom time we're about to enter. So, yeah, that's where we're at. A little bit about me. Been doing this for over 20 years.
Great. And what makes you unique as a marketing consultant in the space? And I do know a little bit about how you work, and I see it as very unique because you have such a grasp of all these different concepts. But in terms of helping people set up their, it might be their sales program, teaching them how to do sales, how to do their marketing, how to structure their products. But could you just tell us kind of what you see for yourself is
Yeah.
unique in the marketing space?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple things. One is I think I bring a nice blend of quantitative and qualitative skills to marketing for small businesses. Having that PhD and that deeper level of knowledge is a differentiator for me. There's a lot of people who do similar things to what I do, and they have great practical experience, which is very useful, of course, and I have that too. But to have kind of a framework to hold it in so that you're not just like, let's do this thing today and this other thing tomorrow, but you have kind of a framework to understand how it all fits together. Not to say that there's not experimenting in marketing and things are always changing. That of course is true, but I think it's that blend that sets me apart a bit. And I'm very specific about kind of my tagline is learn it, do it, profit. And so I think, unlike a lot of other marketing consultants, I'm really good at helping my clients on all three of those, right? So helping them learn things, helping them do things, and then they'll see the profit from there.
Great. And I will put the link to your website. People can check that out. It's a beautiful
Thank you.
site. And I was just reading in Think and Grow Rich. Actually, it was a Law of Success. He talks about the difference between like a 1 pound ping hammer and like a 10-ton hammer. So when you have that kind of a knowledge and awareness, you just save so much time and energy on marketing. And I just see that with you, that you can, I see a lot of people out there, and so much 80 or 90% of the marketing that goes on out there is ineffective. Of course, we learn from it, but if you get somebody like you who actually knows what works based on results, you just save, worlds of time and energy. Um,
Absolutely.
and I did want to just, I love the discussions that we have about small business marketing, and I thought we'd use kind of the bulk of the time just to show people kind of a little bit about what you know and why the kind of this conventional wisdom, so to speak, or what you might see often out there maybe isn't kind of the best thing that you should be doing. But I did want to just start with a general question about, what advice do you have for small businesses that are out there looking to improve their marketing, especially in this COVID environment or post-COVID environment?
Yeah, well, I think there are a couple of things. The first, for a lot of small business owners, especially solopreneurs or people with very small teams, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. And so, one of the first pieces of advice that I give to my clients and others is let's do one thing first. Let's get that going kind of on autopilot. The first few times it's not going to be on autopilot. It's going to be a fair amount of effort. But once you get like your first 2 or 3 email newsletters out, for example, or your website audit has kind of you've gone through that, then maintaining those things is much easier. So let's get one layer down. Maybe that's the website review. Then let's get a second layer. Maybe that's email marketing. Then once that's smooth, let's get a third layer. Maybe that's social media, depending on which market is the best fit for you, whether you should be on LinkedIn if it's B2B, or Facebook if it's more business to consumer. Lots of options, of course. But I think that way we're not so overwhelmed, because every small business owner has a list of 100 things in their head that they know they need to be doing. And you can't do 100 things at once. You can do one thing at once, and then you can add another thing after that.
Yeah, I've actually, that made a big difference in my marketing, where it's harder to put something in motion than to keep it in motion. So if you're going to
Mhm.
launch a big new thing, that month, just do that. And that's or maybe it takes 2 months, but get that up and going and then see how it goes. So that's great advice. I also really think you need somebody, even as marketers who are experienced, you need that confidence in what you're doing, that it will work or it can work. And I think that's why a lot of mistakes I see out there with small business, that you can't do everything yourself. You actually need somebody else to look at what's going on and kind of help you tweak it or help give you advice, because you're not necessarily going to get it perfect the first time, but it's
Right.
that kind of change, or maybe the third or fourth iteration, that gets you that traction. That's something that you've given me on a number of projects, and it just makes all the difference. I remember we had a discussion on my pricing of the different packages, and you just break things down in such simple terms that you can't do that by yourself. So um, maybe some people can, but probably 95% of people can't.
I think it's so helpful to just have the conversation with someone, right? That's a lot of what I do for solopreneurs in particular. It feels isolating. You don't know who to talk to about this stuff. And I can be that person for people to talk to and bounce ideas and sort of be a double check on, wait a minute, that doesn't really make sense based on what you're doing here. These things aren't connecting. So helping people pull all of it together.
I also see in how you work too, that a lot of people think, oh, well, I need digital marketing, or there's these different pieces out there. But I think you take this holistic approach where, okay, well, maybe you don't spend 80 or 90% of your time on digital marketing. Maybe you actually have to get these fundamentals down first in terms of your packages. And, so I think I see that as unique about you, is you kind of take each person about where they're at and what their strengths are and how to work. And maybe it's not all digital marketing. Maybe you don't even do digital marketing. So instead of, I see a lot of errors and marketers out there, they're kind of a one trick pony, that they do one system for everyone. But if that's not your thing, doing kind of Facebook every day, or, it's
Yeah.
not going to work. So um,
Or if your clients aren't on Facebook every day, right? Like, where's your audience?
yeah,
What's the best referral source for you? Is it social, or is it, a networking group where you can find the right referral partner? Yeah.
great. And what would you say are some kind of specific, you teach a class, I think, on guerrilla marketing, if I remember correctly, about some tactics that small businesses might want to think about getting out there and using right away, or things that you often tell your clients to do out there?
Yeah. Well, not maybe, yeah. So one of the things I almost always recommend is email marketing, especially for businesses that have a recurring nature to them, where a client from a year ago can be a client again. Um, I was just talking to someone though yesterday who's not in that situation. They have a one-time offer, and clients will do it once and they won't need it again. So for them, it might be doing something more on referral networking and marketing through referrals for people who are in a good position to do that. I would say specifically about guerrilla marketing, as you know, today, I think it's okay for me to say the day. Today is June 15th, which is the California reopening day. And I think there's just a huge amount of pent up demand. And I think that there's an opportunity for small local businesses to really take advantage of that. I have a client, was just chatting with them, emailing back and forth with them about their sales so far in June, which are on track right now to be better than even 2019 was. Which is, we're both a little surprised because we were sort of still in the coming out of everything, but they're just doing gangbusters. And in fact, we boosted their Google ad spend about a week ago. And I think that's helping too, to keep it going. So I think this might be one of those opportunities for a small business to make a difference, to be in there where people are searching and are ready to do something right now, and to take advantage of this particular moment in time where there's a lot of enthusiasm and I think pent up demand.
Yeah, I do see that in different places. And I love that the email marketing too, I think is important to stay top of mind. We get kind of on our other things and people forget that maybe you're a marketer out there, maybe you're a restaurant. You definitely, the email is kind of the quickest way to people who are or know you, they're going to open your email if they get something from you. But if they don't get anything from you, they're not going to, you might not cross their mind with everything that else
Yeah,
is going on. So
exactly. You're not top of mind anymore if they don't remember that you're
I always
there.
like
Yep.
I always like getting your email newsletters too. You have a number of events and things that you do, so it's a great way to kind of showcase some things that you do or things that people might want to think about. And we will put the link to your website, but could you just tell us about some of your workshops and why you think continuing education is so important for small business owners? I really see how your workshops have a big impact on people who attend them and kind of what you see there and our kind of
Yeah.
ongoing growth journeys, business owners, small business owners.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that there's two ways that workshops are good for small business owners. One is you're learning stuff. And then the other is you've taken a moment out of your day to think about your business in a different way and with other people. And there's an energizing aspect to that that is separate from the knowledge that you've gained, right? So maybe you already had a somewhat of an understanding of a particular topic and you learn more, of course, but there is that energy and that excitement that you get from learning with other people in a workshop environment or learning on your own that lets you have some enthusiasm again. It gets tiring being a solopreneur, and it's good to get a little jolt of good energy and excitement from whoever's teaching the class and the other students in the class. I think those are a couple of ways that it's helpful. As you said, I do have some workshops. I don't have any coming up in the immediate future. I do have a couple online courses on my website that are quite inexpensive. And I have a recommended book list there as well. And some of my top faves in marketing and in particular in consumer behavior and how consumers think, which helps us to market to them, to understand how folks are thinking about things and making decisions. And I also have a blog where folks can search on a particular topic. So, pricing, for example, you can search the blog for all the posts about pricing and you'll get some good stuff in there too.
Great. Yeah, I know from personal experience, this is a bad time to do a lot of kind of online events, so to speak, or the summertime, June or May and June. So I know folks can look for events from me probably in the fall and definitely, December, January, getting ready for the new year, but also the fall as the kids go back to school. So,
Yep.
Who are you looking for out there as your ideal client? Who do you kind of feel that you mesh well with in terms of your marketing style, but also the size or the nature of their
Yeah.
business?
Yeah, so for me, I am just really passionate about small local business. I think the folks who are helping our communities be resilient need help being resilient themselves. And I love working with those folks for a few reasons. As I said, they help our communities overall. I think it's important to have a thriving local small business community for all of us. Um, and I think that they don't often get the support that they need from professionals. There are not many PhDs from Wharton who are interested in working with a small local business. They'd rather work for a corporate client. And so I love being there for those folks. I work with usually service providers, but I do work with some people who sell things too, not just services. But anybody from wellness professionals to financial planners to lawyers to architects, general contractors, the whole gamut of folks who provide services locally or regionally. And of course, I have clients who serve a wider geographical audience. So it doesn't have to be super local necessarily, but I think it's important to be a resource for that part of the market that's often underappreciated out there in the world.
Great. We will give a little bit of time back here because that was all I wanted to ask you about. I appreciate your succinct answers, and I think that one of your strengths is just to really hear where people are at and then break down their situation right away and then show how you can help. So I think if people have a question about marketing or that maybe something they're doing isn't working, to just give you a ring and set up a brief time to talk to you about how you can help them. And I think by connecting with you just briefly, people will realize some of those light bulbs go off for them, as so many have with the people we know in our business network, that, oh, I talked to Lisa and she said this, or so I look forward to keeping in touch, and as the industry leader program advances, getting your input on that as well, and having you back too to check in with some of your events
Super.
in the fall and winter. So
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I offer a free 30-minute consultation. So please reach out to me if you have questions or want help with your marketing, any of the viewers, now or later. Thanks.
beautiful. Well, thanks for coming on, and enjoy the rest of your day, Lisa.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thank you.